And I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free.
Hey, let's do a show. Let's do a show. Actually, I want to do a PSA before we start. And Todd Father is going to fix his wires. Todd's actually a robot. He's not a real person, but
it fell off. I don't know what to do.
It happens.
His picks were from AI, so that's why he's a robot. Like those were
really good.
Futuristic
regular
picks.
season picks were fire. Let's do a PSA real quick though, Kratz. Whit Merrifield was on the show yesterday, and the podcast listeners don't have the episode yet, but you should subscribe to us on YouTube because sometimes those episodes don't get posted for a few days. But if you caught it on YouTube or you caught it on Valley Sports TV, he said the Phillies sucked down the stretch because he was gone. He said that in jest. Is that how you say it? In jest, right? Like
yes.
a little jokingly, a little
yes.
sarcastically. And it was a true test of if you've got common sense or not, because there were quite a few people on social media that were like, how dare he say that? Obviously, he's kidding.
Yeah,
so just wanted to throw it out there. Whit's kidding. He's got a great personality in case you were one of those people that fell for it.
Got him.
Yeah.
They all live around me. They all live around me, too. I mean, they were, you're talking like Crossing Broad, Phillies Fire. Every site was like, oh, he's so bitter. He's so like, let's say he was bitter. Let's say Whit was bitter that he got cut by the Phillies. They were 34-35 when after they cut him. It's not like he left and then they got better. I don't think that's how bitter works, but I need to check. But he was joking. Whit was joking.
Thank you.
There you go. Perfect.
All right, so let's charge the damn mound and let's get to the playoff game, shall we?
He's charging the mound.
Todd Father, you cover this Yankees team pretty closely all year long. They're playing good ball. They are up 2-0 in the series. They did what they're supposed to do at home. Yep. They take both games. So yesterday it's 6-3 with the dub. Judge homers. Cole wasn't great, but they still held off and picked up a nice dub. I wouldn't call it a sweaty win. It was a 6-2 game. They gave up the one homer to Ramirez in the ninth, but this was a pretty all-around win again for them.
I would say all-around win. I would say something that they've been doing. I think about a couple of things. The bullpen has been absolutely outstanding. Cole struggled. I mean, we're just being honest here. He did struggle. You could see it on his face, his body language. But what happens when one person struggles? You got to pick them up. And I was talking to you guys about this earlier. I said that's a sign of a championship team. Not everybody's going to do what they're supposed to do. You got one of the best pitchers in the league still. And he struggled. He just couldn't find the plate. He used his sinker for the first time, and God knows how long, and that thing was nasty too. So I don't know what played off of why he struggled a little bit. I'm sure he's going to go back to the drawing board, but good things happen. Soto still dominating. Gleyber Torres leads the game off with a double, gets the boys going. Judge gets off the schneid with a 2-run home run. Tim Hill, I mean, oh my God, absolutely filthy. Tommy Kahnle doing what he does best, and the boys are keep going. Think about this lineup. Remember we talked about earlier? We're like, man, how are they going to be any good with the bottom of the lineup? They're struggle bus. They put two veteran guys in the back there with Rizzo and Verdugo, and what do? Double here, double there, hit here. Guy's got a broken finger, and he's doing it. Can't say much more about him. It's an all-around team effort, and the Guardians are a really good team. People need to understand that how good this team really is, and they are winning, and they're winning convincingly.
Todd, is this it? Is this it? Are they coming back to New York before the World Series?
As of right now, I would definitely say yes. I don't think they're leaving there without a World Series ticket.
No. Oh, you think? Okay, so you think I'm asking, are there going to be any games in the ALCS in New York, or are they going to finish it out in the next three in Cleveland?
I would love to, because that means I can go to it. But I think they're going to take 2 out of 3 there in Cleveland, and that's being kind about it. I'll be honest.
They are a complete team without everything hitting, without all cylinders firing right now. I get it. Judge hit the homer late. Maybe that'll get him going. I thought he was having better at bats. He was still miss hitting some balls, but he got to something, that was letter high. That's huge. To me, you said it exactly right. It's the bottom of the order to Gleyber. So 8-9-1, 7-8-9-1, whatever way you want to put it. Those guys get on. What did Gleyber have? 3 hits? Like, postseason Gleyber is all about driving the ball to right field. He's getting some singles to right center. He's getting some singles to right field. He's staying inside the ball like he did back in whatever the year was that he was elite, 18 or whatever year that was, 19, that everyone thought he was going to be the greatest second baseman of all time. He's staying inside the ball. He's doing what he needs to do in front of 2 guys who are going to ultimately swing this series in their favor. And Garrett, going to that sinker, when I caught a bullpen of his in, I guess that would have been 2020, he threw a couple sinkers to me. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty good. And I remembered back to catching him with the Pirates, and that's the majority of what he threw. They weren't throwing very many 4-seamers. I think his stuff is just a tick down right now. We'll see what happens in his next start, but his next start could be in the World Series.
It could. Yeah. We see on the board here, lowest strike rate in a postseason start in his career. Who said it on our little phone call today? He was doing a little nibbling. And he wasn't getting the corners.
Kratzy said that. That's a Kratzy word for sure.
Yeah. He wasn't getting the edges on some of those. And they were mostly good calls. There were a couple that missed, but they were mostly good calls. But he was doing a little nibbles.
It was body language for me.
Yeah.
You don't see, he gets frustrated sometimes, but it was a lot of body language where it's like that, the look to the sky. I've done them all. And probably a lot more than he has, but it just catch the ball like what Kratzy does when his wife doesn't finish the meal when he wants it in time. He's like, oh.
I do agree with you on the body language part. I do agree with you on the body language part because, and I don't know that it was necessarily, he's emotional when he's out there. As much as people want to say, oh, he's precision, he's like a robot. He has his emotions. He gives up a hit and he's like, smiles like, how could that guy get a hit off of me? Or, the emotion of this one.
Yeah.
Or wide. When a guy is nibbling with his career numbers, to me, it means he understands what he's seeing the hitters. Hitters will never lie. If you want to know what your stuff is doing, ask the hitters by the way that they're swinging at them or the way that they're hitting the ball. Like, they will never lie. They're popping balls up that I think used to be swing and miss at the top of the zone. If he always has to go to the well and he always has to throw his best pitch and it's getting popped up, then you start nibbling a little bit. And you start nibbling in situations where this is how good pitchers rack up their strikeouts. First and second, nobody out. First and second, 1 out. Bang, I'm throwing that nasty breaking ball, late life heater. He was doing that, but it was off the plate because I don't think he was trusting last night. I don't think he was trusting his stuff to play in the zone where he normally gets swings and misses.
Also, I looked up while you were chatting. 2019 was when Gleyber Torres hit 38 home runs, 90 RBIs. Although I feel like half of them were against the
Orioles,
rebuilding Baltimore Orioles back then, right?
Still
that
hit
was
them.
the whole thing. Yeah.
I think it was like 10 or 12 of them. 13 in 18 games.
He made his mortgage on that squad. That's it.
Damn.
Why not?
He's making some bread right now, I'll tell you. For someone who had a down year and went through a lot, teams are watching right now. This is the stage where everyone's looking. They're seeing the damage that he's doing and the age. He's 27 years old. There's nothing.
I forget that.
There's nothing more intriguing to a nerdy front office dude than a 27-year-old free agent.
How about Soto? How old is he? 26?
26. Yeah.
Jeez.
So those are some young dudes that are about to hit free agency, and that stands out to people.
6 to 8 year deal.
Kratzy already knows.
For who?
For Soto.
Gleyber.
Oh, you think so?
No.
Ooh, here we
6
go.
6 to 8 year deal.
Kratzy,
Wow.
come on, speak up. What is he going to get? 6 to 8 years? How much?
Like 120.
How
Wow.
about Soto?
Oh, come on. I mean, it's starting with a 6, and he ain't getting 60 million. We're talking 6 to 650, but that's a whole postseason. I mean, whole off-season discussion.
Damn. Okay, well, let me bring it back into this series. Juan Soto was intentionally walked in the bottom of the second inning. They bring in Cade Smith, their weapon, one of their weapons. Obviously, Clase is a dude too, but one of their big boys with the big fastball. And here's what Stephen Vogt said about the decision to walk Soto to get to Judge.
Can you explain your thought process on walking Soto to face Judge at that point in the game?
Yeah, I mean, they were hitting the ball, around the ballpark, and we needed to stop the game. And in that situation, you want to try and get double play ball. You want to try and, get 2 outs with 1 pitch. You want to try and find a way to get out of that inning, and Cade did a great job doing that.
Did you guys
100%
see
agree.
when it happened too, and the Yankees dugout, FT tweeted it, was like, oh, they were all, smacking the railing.
Mm-hmm.
Third time ever. Hitter before him was intentionally walked. Happened in 2016. He struck out against Matt Strom against KC in the 13th inning. They intentionally walked Chase Headley back then, and then top of the 8th inning. This was Cespedes Family Barbecue. Looking it up in August, right, of this year. That was that game where they walked Soto, and then he homered off of Chad Kuhl.
Insanity.
Mm-hmm. All right, Kratz, what do
Soto
you
was
think?
hot during that time.
He went through one little spurt where he wasn't hot. So this guy he's incredible.
Yeah. But is he back? Do you guys see it in a swing, right? Where
Yeah.
there were good signs the last few games, and now it's coming together. Is it working like that for him?
It's just 1 pitch and he's back to where he needs to be. That's it for him.
I would have done the same thing that Voter did. The only thing I would have done differently, and I know he's never thinking Cade Smith is only getting 3 guys, but rarely now do you see somebody give the intentional walk and then bring somebody in. Normally the play is, and I know Cade Smith is going to be out there for more than 3 guys, so don't roast me on this, but normally you bring the guy in, intentional walk, now that guy only has to face 2 batters. But I completely agree. And you even heard, if you were listening to TBS, Frank Hoare was like, are they going to walk Soto here? Is this really going to happen? And it was so it's not just like all of a sudden Stephen Vogt was like, I'm going to walk this guy. No, the play is the matchup. Cade Smith's fastball plays above the zone to Judgy. And he didn't come in nibbling. He came in just blowing cheese and walked off the mound.
Yeah, well, he got the sac fly and then the Wells strikeout, but I mean, kind of mission accomplished there. You only get the run. Could have been much worse. So good for Stephen Vogt. And then Gaddis later on had only given up 1 homer to 139 right-handed hitters faced this season. So Judge was like, let's make it 2.
Incredible.
2 other quick things, then we're going to step aside because Max Muncy is about to join us. So Brian Rocchio dropped a pop-up, but I also want to praise Stephen Kwan because he's just an absolute playoff monster, and every good playoff team can use a Stephen Kwan. Yeah, but those are my 2. Just want to throw those in there.
Anytime Kwan's up, I feel like he's going to do something like a double to opposite field or hit something.
Dangerous player.
Hitter.
Rocchio's a great glove too. He's a great defender. He had his Luis Castillo moment for people old enough to remember that.
And he only gave up 1 run. It was the first inning, so you can't really look back on that and be like, wow, we lost the game because of you.
No.
Todd, are Yankee fans going to burn down Yankee Stadium if they lose the World Series because of, as John Sterling called it, drunk base running?
John Sterling.
We'll get to that later. We got Max Muncy waiting,
No,
so
he makes me laugh. I love that.
It was a
guy.
great call. We'll run it later, okay?
That's just keeping it real.
Yeah, let's step aside. And hey, he's going out with a bang. This is his last series here, or his last postseason. Max Muncy getting ready for Game 3. We'll talk to him next. Cheers. Let's do a toast. There he is. Oh, I was going to bring it in. I totally forgot. I have an Orgain bar, but he's got the drink.
Nice.
Go ahead,
You have a
Kratz. Show it
bar
off.
too?
I have a ton of bars. I ordered way more too. They are, you know how it's tough for me to find what I'm looking for many reasons?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
I have found what I'm looking for, and it's Orgain bars and Orgain drinks. And Kratz is being a model for us right now. Silky
Looks so
smooth.
small in his hands, too.
Yeah, it is. But it packs a punch. It packs a protein punch, Kratz.
If 30 grams is this small, then I would love to be tiny.
Bottle you up in that Orgain, kid.
That's a good catchphrase right there. I like that. So, hey, if you're looking for incredible flavor and all of the protein in that compact, beautiful little container, there it is. Orgain. Go get after it, okay? And you can do that on the website, orgain.com/foul, as this episode is presented by Orgain. Use code FOUL when you're at the site for 20% off your order, and that is orgain.com/FOUL for 20% off. And if you don't see the code already in the cart, then just enter the code. Usually if you go there with the website, it's already there for you. But otherwise, the code's pretty easy. It's the first word in our show, FOUL. Max Muncy, Muscles, joining us, waiting for us, a minute away on FT. Here we go. Max Muncy joining us right now, getting ready for Game 3 of the NLCS against the New York Mets. Max, great to have you on, dude. It's been a really fun postseason watching you so far. I'll start here, Max, because we'll get right to business. Did you expect to face the New York Mets in the NLCS? Obviously, we haven't had you on since. I mean, following this team throughout the season, are you surprised to see them at this point? Obviously, you're not surprised about your own club, but what do you think?
For me, I didn't really have any idea. I was hurt when we played the Mets, so I never really saw them. I had no idea kind of what they were featuring or anything like that. So it's just it's one of those teams where you see the minimum amount of times a year, and that's about it. And we got both series out of the way earlier in the year, so we haven't seen them for a very long time. And I wouldn't say I was surprised. It's just you don't, when you're talking about teams from the East Coast, you just never know what you're going to get because you don't see them a whole lot.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Definitely true. I want to start by asking real quick, what time would you head to the ballpark today for an 8 o'clock game?
Well, I'm actually missing the bus that I normally take to be on the show with you guys. So.
Oh,
Wow.
I knew something was up. I knew something was
I
up.
like that. I like that.
Yeah,
That's good.
I'm an early guy. I'm usually there pretty early.
All right, good. So you can blame us if something bad happens. So we apologize.
Or if something good
If
happens.
but I wasn't
Both.
done. I wasn't done. I was
Okay.
going to say, if something good happens, wave to me. I'll be right above the Mets dugout watching you guys. Just give me a quick wave when you go deep. That's all.
All right, I got
right.
you. Don't worry.
I'll be there. Here's another question I got for you too as well. You've been in the playoffs a lot. Would you rather play, or what do you think is more exciting, playing in your home stadium, which I know you probably love, but inside of you, do you like playing on the away field, knowing you're going to get the boos and all that kind of stuff? And I mean, both of them are pretty good, no?
I mean, the playoffs is the whole reason that you play the game of baseball, right? Like, the atmosphere is second to none. it really doesn't matter where you're playing at. It's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere. The field will be rocking. Fans will be going nuts. It's just part of the grandeur of playing at this time of year in October. But yeah, Dodger Stadium to me is always going to be special. This last series was as noisy and raucous as I've ever heard it. The fans came out; they were unbelievable. They were going just absolutely wild. Maybe a little bit too wild in some situations, but it was a lot of fun. But playing on the road is always, uh, during the regular season, there's not too many times when you're playing on the road and you get a sold out atmosphere. So it's always fun just when you have the entire stadium kind of there rooting against you.
All right, so last year, probably right around this day, we had you after you guys got eliminated. You were dejected. You were in Dodger Stadium, still finishing up, treatment, workouts, that kind of stuff. And you said to us, maybe we need to change our approach during the playoffs. Have you done that? Is that what's giving you guys the success? Or have you gotten to this point and just been like, screw it. We're boss. We're going to take care of business.
I wouldn't say it's change as much as understanding, why and what was happening. Understanding that taking too many good pitches to hit and and then on the flip side of that, because you're trying to null that, you're swinging at too many pitches out of the zone. I think you just get back to being us, something that we've done all year long. Control the strike zone. When it's in there, hammer it, and when it's not in there, you take it. And sometimes it gets called a strike, sometimes it doesn't, and it's just really looking for your pitch to hit, and that's something that we've kind of zoned in on this postseason.
Hey, Max, how would you describe the season for Walker Buehler and where he's at right now? You've been teammates with him for a long time, and we know how it is. He's coming off of surgery and all of that, so he's been through it, but he's here.
Yeah, with guys coming off TJ, you never know what you're going to get, and then you make it a second TJ. That's in my experience from what I've seen, guys coming off that second TJ usually takes them a lot longer to figure out and remember how to be the guy that they were before surgery. And that kind of seems like it's a little bit of the case with Walker. He's trying to rediscover who he is as a pitcher, but at the same time, there's probably not anyone I would rather have pitching in a postseason atmosphere than Walker Buehler. You look at the game he had against the Padres. I know he gave up the six runs in one inning, but there was a couple plays that happened that could have got him out of the inning without giving up all those runs. And then at the end of the day, you look at it, he turns in a really good start because he went 4 or 5 other innings without even hardly allowing any base runners. So, Walker, he's just got the attitude and he's got the mindset, the mentality that he really kind of thrives in this type of atmosphere. So there's really not anyone I'd rather have in a postseason game than Walker Buehler, really.
I love that. Confidence is key, especially in the postseason, building off each other. Now, I want to get to a quote that you said in your last series talking about the experts. You had some explicit words you wanted to say to some of those people. I honestly, in my mind, like if I'm on your team, and you're talking about how, in the Padres series, however, all the experts thought that the Dodgers didn't have the team to win. And seeing that, if I'm your teammate, I'll get the goosebumps fired up. I'm going to follow you to the end of the world, bro. And I thought that was, as a veteran player like yourself, to come out and say that, so everybody else probably thinking it, but for you to say that, I thought that was key, and that brings the team together, in my opinion, as silly as that sounds,
Well, you guys know me. I don't tend to hold back sometimes. Things will just come out, but at the same time, you want to put a camera in the locker room when guys are dumping champagne and beer all over each other and having a good time. There's probably going to be a quote or two that's going to come out, and yeah, that was one of them. But I got asked about it post game the other night by the guys on the Fox set, and um, they were curious if that's something that we've been paying attention to, and no, we really hadn't been. But like I said, when you're the postseason, you're wanting to watch all the other games, and every time you're watching the game, any commercial that comes on, the bottom line ticker, here's what we're seeing is going to happen. It's always talking about how we were going to lose, and it was just it was starting to get frustrating. It was starting to get it was starting to really piss us off that that's all we were hearing on the TV, and we really weren't paying attention to it. But when it gets shoved in your face so many times, you start getting pissed off by it, and that was that was just one of those things where we were having a good time, and yeah, it kind of happened to come out.
Can we show that? Can we show that video here of you not calling Poppy out directly, but Poppy straight lied to you. So now next time you see him, you're gonna
You
have
guys
to
can yeah, you guys can always
ingest.
show whatever you would like to show. I'm never gonna tell you guys you can't show something.
All right, run it quick.
They're talking about how the Padres are going to beat us, and we're
I picked you guys.
Did you?
Yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't even remember.
He forgot who he picked.
You know,
I
when
got
you pick
San
someone
Diego
else, you
5,
don't
man.
get paid by the team anymore.
I've been there before, Kevin.
Who you picking?
Hold on.
Who you got?
What's happening here?
Hurry up. San Diego. Fight game, homie. Got him.
Now, if I would have seen that clip, if I actually was paying attention to it, and I would have seen that clip, there might have been some more words on the set. But yeah, I was under the impression that no one picked us, and I had no idea who picked who. But I figured that those guys hadn't picked us. That was why I made that comment.
No, I like that. I like that. And you gotta call them out. It's okay. Everyone will laugh about it, but whatever motivates you, it's awesome. You guys are motivated enough to win. How about the whole situation, what happened with Machado and Doc? How it was handled from both sides. From both sides, did you think the throw was a nefarious throw? Did you think Doc did a good job of his comments? Anything else that we missed that wasn't seen on video?
I'm not gonna add any fuel or fire to that whole situation. It's over and done with. It's last series. It's something that it's not even in our heads anymore. So I'm not gonna add anything to that. It was what it was, and at the end of the day, as we always say, you don't like something, go out there and play better. And so that's what we did. We went out there and beat them.
That's awesome. How about the fact that you're missing your first bus? Freddie might have gotten an Uber over the field at like 12 today. Tell us what you've seen in his ankle. Is it nasty? Are they blowing up how much treatment he's getting, and he's kind of milking it like a limping puppy until he gets a treat, or is this a real thing?
Let me put it this way: you're not putting that ankle on any GQ magazines. It's it does not look good, man. Let me tell you that. But if anything, it's being understated how much he's having to go through just to be ready to play these games. There's definitely no exaggeration in any of the reports. Like I said, if anything, it's being understated. He is, doing 4, 5, 6 hours of treatment just to even be able to get it into the cage and see if he can play for that day. It has been a pretty wild experience watching what he's going through, but the guy is unbelievable. You guys know him. He wants to be out there. He wants to win. He wants to do anything he can, and if anything, he's sending a message to the rest of the team also. It's just, if you have something that's kind of bothering you a little bit, you're going to fight through it because you're seeing what he's going through. And it's one of those things where there's no excuses. He hasn't used it as an excuse once. They've pulled him out of the game early to, whether it's for defense or try to give him a little rest. And he's been fighting it the entire time, saying, no, I want to be out there. I want to be out there. And, you always kind of be like, hey, Freddie, we got you, man. We got you. You did your job. Now let us do our job and take over for you. And, he's really been kind of setting the attitude in the clubhouse for us.
I'm going to double down on that. Make sure everybody knows that I was joking by the milking it and everything. The guy didn't play in an elimination game in Game 4. For a guy who plays every single day, and I remember you talked about before, like Freddie comes and he's like, he sets a tone for guys who play every day. He didn't play in an elimination game, so that's how bad his ankle was. But I want to take it to you because you said everybody's hurting. I thought you tweaked your oblique in game, let's see, it was in LA, so it would have been game 4. You didn't. Okay, because you swung.
It was in San Diego.
And you gave what people don't know, game 3. Okay, I knew it was a little later in the series, and you gave for people who don't know, like when you feel like you tweak something, you kind of give it like a rub, like this is gonna heal whatever just happened. Were you afraid you did something?
It's the magic rub. You know that. It's
yes. Everybody's done it. But did you feel something there? Did you feel something, and then you have to play through that?
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's that time of year. you don't get to this point in a fully healthy body. No one does, and so we've all got little things where we're fighting through, and for me that's just been a continuing annoyance since I came back. Nothing's ever felt fully healed in there, but I've been trying to fight through it, and I've been doing what I have to do to make sure I'm ready to play, and so. Yeah, there's a little something in there, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse.
Let me ask you this: a little Shohei Ohtani showing out a little bit, showing some emotion, some excitement. Talk a little bit about what you've seen from him, and I think it's a delight seeing him going out there and bringing that emotion, man. I love every second of it. I think it's like a joy, actually. It's nothing that trying to show off to the other team or try and hurt them. I just think it's him being in his natural stage.
Yeah, it's the whole regular season. You might have seen like one or two moments where he showed some emotion, and those were obviously big time moments. But the whole postseason, he's been living it up. He's been eating up every single second of it. It's been a lot of fun to watch. You can definitely tell that he's been really striving to play in this type of atmosphere, and to see him finally be able to get it, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun being his teammate in it. He is. He's definitely been really enjoying being in the postseason. It's something that every player strives to play for, and for him to be able to finally get it has been, it's just been a lot of fun to watch. And the emotion he brings is, it's really cool when you see one of the absolute superstars in this sport, bring that type of energy and emotion into the game. I think that's what the fans want. It's what the game wants. It's a lot of fun, and he's doing it the right way. He's not ever looking at the other team, the other dugout. He's always celebrating towards us. He's doing it always the right way, and it's been a lot of fun to watch.
16 for 19. 16 for 19 with runners in scoring position. What does that mean to you as an active player? Because I said this is like video game, like cheating type of stuff. Shohei's not cheating. Sorry, I should. This is video game. This is video game stuff. Like, you don't go 16 for 19 ever. You don't go 16 for 19 in BP sometimes.
I mean, Shohei as just a player is almost like you're playing MLB The Show and doing create a player, and you're maxing out all the stats, and everyone's like, "Oh, come on, that's not realistic." But like, that's basically what he is. He hits the ball harder than anybody. He runs faster than anybody. When his arm's healthy, he's throwing it harder than anybody. He's just an absolute unicorn of a player, and that's in terms of the 16 for 19. That's just telling me we got to make sure that we're on base a lot more for him than what we are.
Yeah, true.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you're 8 or 9, in the lineup, you're like, yo, anything to get on.
Please hit me,
because we know I'm coming home.
Roger Dorn it and get on top of the plate and wear it.
Exactly. Hey, we've seen that. We've seen 100%. Some catchers do that in past playoff series. So
yep.
Maldonado's done it for sure. Yeah. Well, Max, this was awesome, man. Thanks for the time. Obviously on a busy day. Go do your thing. Good luck. Go crush it. And we're excited to watch.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. Good luck, dude. Yeah, Max Muncy with us on FT. We'll be right back.
Don't miss the bus.
All right, we got it for you. The John Sterling call.
Oh, you got it. I've heard it like 5 times.
You have? Yeah. But for anyone that missed it, in case you're not a Yanks radio person, right? I mean, most of the country's watching the game on television, or if they're listening on radio, it's national radio.
Yep.
So they might have missed one of the legends of our sport on the call yesterday, because the Yankees did make some pretty pitiful base running mistakes, but they were good enough to.
In big spots, too.
In big spots, yeah. Hey, if somebody had like some creative over-under for the game, right? Like if somebody went, what was the final score? 6-3?
Yeah,
so if someone was like, oh, I think it's going to be high scoring, I'm taking over 9.5 at plus 225 or whatever it was, and they're watching that base running, they're like, really?
Not only that, but the Guardians had a lot of opportunity.
They did too.
People on base.
They did. They had their chances, and John Sterling said this about the base running.
The 0-2, a bouncer, and Rizzo is going to be picked off. He's in the middle between second and third. Hedges now throws to second, on the way to third, back to second, back to third, tagged out, end of inning. Boy, if that wasn't the Yankees, that's what they do, run the bases like drunks. Well, Glaber will lead off the next inning.
He dropped a well. Glaber will lead off the next inning after he said it. I guess since you've been there so long, it just comes natural. I mean, I guess he's not wrong. I mean, they do play base run. He could have said maybe, they run the bases like they're playing, like they're 5 years old. But
Drunks is great.
Drunks is good. It was just a natural comment.
Like
he's at a bar.
Yeah.
Like he's at a bar. Yeah, they're just like all over the place. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
If I had too many and I'm trying to run the bases in a playoff game, that's me right there.
Yeah.
Everyone can relate to that comment from John Sterling. Not everyone, but a lot of people.
The Guardians got the out, but that was a brutal when Todd runs, his practice and they do pickle practice, they do rundown practice. That is not how he's going to teach it. That was not textbook, but they got the out. So that's all that matters.
True.
That's what you show the kiddos and say, hey, everyone does this, but also don't do this.
This is what not to do.
Yeah.
This is what we're not trying to do.
Mm-hmm. All right. Still got a lot to cover. We'll flip to the other series, and we'll talk about both, obviously, but then also some other news around town. We'll get to Nick Castellanos with his little agency switch-ish, and the Trop is basically no more. In the weeds, we got to look for a different ballpark. I mean, unfortunately, the Trop had the roof blown off of it, and as we've said multiple times in the past week, we hope, anyone that's an FT fan that's say in the Tampa Bay area is doing okay, dealing with a lot of storm issues the last few weeks. But the Trop took a hit, and it's not getting fixed.
Wow,
it is not getting fixed. So they're going somewhere else. Most likely. It's not going to be ready for opening day, March 27th, due to damage. Also, I mean, you're not going to necessarily hear it this way, but it's true. I mean, they're moving in 4 or 5 years, something like that. They're not going to start spending 9 figures because that's apparently what it's going to cost to fix that thing.
Oh, my God.
So where the Rays will play in 2025 is currently TBD. So this affects a lot. This affects players. This affects free agents. This affects revenue for a team that doesn't spend much as it is. What else, Kratz? What am I missing?
The rest of the league that has to travel to wherever they're going to play. Even if they play in Dunedin, you still got to. It's a different travel. Everything is completely different. But to me, I see like a Buffalo in all of Twitterverse. They would love it if they went to Oakland, but there's so many things that we don't even think about. Think about the people who have, I knew I was coming back there. I got a place down in Tampa. Oh, I'm doing all my training down in Port Charlotte, so I'm staying at my house, or I'm close in the off season. Oh crap! Now we might not be there. It's huge. It's way bigger deal than people are just like, they'll just get a new roof, or they'll just play somewhere else. You don't just play big league games somewhere else.
This happened in a couple towns over. They had a bubble. It was like an indoor golf thing you can eat and do whatever. It's a nice bubble. The roof got torn up, and they had to pay the whole thing. The insurance don't cover that either. So I don't know what type of insurance plan they have. I think that's just a natural kind of disaster thing. Some things that they might not be able.
You can insure almost anything, but you can also not have insurance on something that's too expensive.
So we'll see.
Steven Strasburg's contract wasn't insured.
So they're just going to leave it like that?
I don't know what the deal is.
Because you can't cover it up, so the next storm is coming. It's going to rain in Florida.
They have no drainage there. They have no drainage in the whole stadium.
It's just going to be watered down. That place is going to go to crap.
And they're planning on that anyway, just not now. They were planning on
getting rid of
that place.
It's now.
They're
not playing.
You can't build the new place in St. Petersburg. I mean, you can, but it's going to take several years.
Yeah.
And you can't put 100. They're saying $100+ million because they said 9 figures to fix that roof. Whatever they put in there, you can't. I don't know. I don't. I don't think this is just a 2025 thing. I don't see how they come up with the answer. It would be so terrible if they played in Dunedin, not because Dunedin was a big league park during COVID or the after COVID season, because they played in Buffalo during COVID. But how do they, like, if there's 2 minor league parks out of 30 teams, 28 big league stadiums, and 2 teams just get away with having a minor league park? I don't know. I don't know the answer to this, and this has to get figured out soon.
People losing jobs too.
Yeah, no doubt. It affects.
Oh yeah,
everybody.
Yeah, because the most likely,
Everybody.
what's most likely going to happen right now is they'll probably play in Dunedin. They'll play in a minor league park like that. That's close enough.
Well, their minor league park's it's not bad at all. Like
it's not bad, but I mean, we're playing major league games now in minor league parks.
Well, is there another park around? Like, is there an old stadium out there that's still up that
Orlando?
Disney would have a lot. That would have a lot of work to put in to get it to big league quality. But I mean, there's one, but it's across the country, and obviously
no way.
MLB,
well, Montreal.
There's no chance that they're going across to eat crow and put a game there, because they'd sell it out every night just to spite John Fisher too. And be like,
I thought you were talking about Montreal. My fault.
Well, they wanted to go there initially and split games. That was never going to be a thing. But Brody Brazil talking about how there is an open ballpark in Oakland. It's not going to happen. But there are reports that they could play at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa. So. Anyway, it sucks. I mean, most likely, at least to start the season, and we know for years in Oakland's case, we're going to have major league teams in minor league parks. It's a bad look. And we've talked about the A's and Rays ballpark situation both for over a decade. So to me, this is embarrassing, and this is reactive as usual. This should have been done so long ago to be proactive and not put us in a position like this. So it's a shame, and it makes our sport look amateur. That's what it is. I know it was a natural disaster, but let's be real. If you've stepped foot in the Trop, you're like, this thing needs work. And it did. The roof was long past expiration to be able to handle something like this. So obviously on this show, we'll be real. We'll keep you posted on what ends up happening, but it's going to affect wins and losses for the Rays potentially. It's going to be tougher to get free agents. They're probably going to blame lower revenue expected this year on dropping the payroll down. So, all right, let's step aside. We're going to get our next guest rolling. Ken Rosenthal later. Jett Williams up next in the green room. Mets top prospect. Good time to have a Met on. Here we are. Let's go over this, Kratz, real quick. You want to show the Phillies job that's out there? We're going to do a couple little job openings today. So if you're an FT fan and you're looking for a job in the biz, the next one we show later on is for a reason, but just wanted to throw this one out there and also show how unique some of these jobs are. A lab analyst in Clearwater, which is the home of the Phillies spring training. Your role is not just to maintain the lab, but to transform it, making it a hub for player improvement and cutting-edge biomechanics research. Use cool tech and great data to help us solve baseball. There's a little post from Kyle Lindley, who I think was part of Driveline or maybe still is. So Philly's working on some tech amping.
Everybody needs to up their tech game, except for the teams that win the World Series. The team that wins the World Series this year. I think it's great. I think I would also say, just be careful. If you're like, man, I just want to work in baseball. You've seen how fickle teams are getting rid of players, getting rid of coaches at the end of the year. Just because you're a lab tech analyst doesn't mean they won't cut you as quick as dirt either. Like, you're gone. Like, they'll cut you. So don't think that playing in baseball is like, or working in baseball, wow, I'll just have so much stability. The Phillies are just a great organization. Every team is always looking to cut somebody and bring somebody new in, cut a payroll, all that stuff. But lab analytics, I think that is definitely up Todd's avenue.
Is it?
Yeah.
What happened to the ball player where the health people would come in and be like, hey, man, don't forget to have steak before the game. It gives you energy, a tie and all this and that. Steak before every game. Nobody's talking about the steak. They're talking about robots. Everybody wants to be a robot now, man. a lab analyst. Come on, man. I know you're creating jobs. I get it. They're trying to create jobs for people, and that's great. I mean, they're just making up names now. I don't know. I'm just I love all the new stuff that's come out, the new technologies in the world. Let's just get back to the dude. Hey, make sure we're lifting. We're not overeating. Protein shake here. Get your steaks before the game, and go in the hot and cold tubs. I don't know.
Hired. I like that.
There you go.
I would hire him right up the spot right there.
Todd is going to be the
into
C
that.
ball. Todd is the C ball hit ball analyst.
Yeah,
he's
he
like,
is,
hey, when you see it, hit it.
Control your mind.
We'll ask our next guest about what tech he's using. Here we go. Jett Williams in the Arizona Fall League, Mets prospect, joining us right now on Foul Territory. Jett, great to have you on, man. How's the Arizona Fall League going?
It's been going good. First, I think 5 or 6 games has been pretty good. So weather out here is great and can't complain.
Well, appreciate you
golfing?
joining us.
You clearly
You
golfing?
doing any golf?
I see it in the background there. Also with your unmade bed. Also.
Don't let him call you out like that, Jett.
A little bit of golfing here.
Well, let's start with this. For people that don't know you, obviously Mets fans have been following you already for a bit, but just the simple, where'd the name come from?
So my dad supposedly says that it was going to sound good on the speakers when I was walking up to the plate, and that's pretty much kind of, I guess, where he got it from. All of our all my siblings' names start with a J, and I was the last one, so I guess that was also a good, idea that he had. But except my brother, since he was the first brother, he's named after my dad.
All right, interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like that.
He knew.
Yeah, I think.
I got a big leaguer right here.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where my next question to you. What I was thinking, you had a board, like a gold board on your wall, and can you tell everybody what you wrote on that gold board, and did it happen? And I know we already know the answer, but go ahead.
So I started my goals probably freshman year. My dad kind of showed it to me, and at first I wrote all my goals down from like my freshman year of high school to my senior year, and at first I wrote down 10 goals, and they all I accomplished them all, and I was like, oh, this is kind of crazy. And my dad was like, that's usually not going to happen every single time. So then I just would put check marks on those and then make a new list, and kind of ever since after my freshman year, I wrote go in the first round, and that was my number one goal from going into freshman year to my senior year. And then, just little goals to accomplish that big goal. And, it happened. And then after I got drafted and became the player right now, it's just more so of kind of reevaluating the goals after getting drafted, and then going into year one, kind of the goals I wanted to have my first year, and then the off season and everything. So I think I accomplished a lot of the goals my first year, and then kind of going into this year, which I got hurt and stuff, but that big goal was, I'm sure y'all know, to make it to the big leagues. But that will still continue to be the number one goal going into next year as well.
Do you reset your goals? Do you have anything for the fall league since you're coming off of the injury start to the season?
Yeah, I think the goal is just honestly stay healthy. I think stay within the routine that honestly got you healthy, and then just the same routine that I've always used. Try not to ever kind of get out of it. I think sometimes it's hard you don't play all year and then you get hurt or whatnot, and it's like you kind of don't want to. Oh, it's a long year. I don't really want to do some things. But just kind of continue to stay on the routine and just continue to go into every day and just honestly have fun.
Jed, it's got to be cool checking out the Mets right now and seeing
Hmm.
all of the hype around them. So, what are your thoughts on the games and anything specific standing out to you about any players that you know? I mean, obviously, it's probably cool to see someone like Vientos shining
Right.
and spending time in the minor leagues this year.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's awesome, especially just the year that they started off, and it's kind of like, oh, here goes the Mets again. And I think just playing in the Mets organization and just you kind of have not the pressure, but it's like everybody expects you to do good. Everybody's expecting you to do this just because you're in New York. And like for instance, Lindor started off bad, and it's like they expect him to do so much more. It's like, hey, it's still early. Like there's 6 months of the season. It's only month 1 or 2. Like the guy's going to continue to come to the field every single day and show up. And I mean, it showed. And same thing for Vientos. I think just seeing him, how he started off in AAA, and it's obviously he didn't want to be there, but I think that didn't let him affect him, and he just continued to show up to the field every day. And I think all the hard work he did is paying off, and I think it's awesome just to see from the beginning of the year all the way to now how just the team started off bad, and then now it's just we're riding the hot wave, and I think hopefully we win it all.
Does it kind of suck though? I'm going to preface it this way because I remember being in the fall league, and for people who don't know about the fall league, you're playing with. I know your team has the Giants, the Pirates. Who else is on that team? What other team?
Tigers and Blue Jays.
Okay, so you're playing with 5 organizations total. And what fans don't know is these are all minor league prospects that are out in the fall league. Now you're the number 1 Mets prospect. But does it kind of suck when you're sitting there and you're looking at somebody from the Pirates and you go, bro, my team's so good. We got Francisco Lindor. Dang, like I'm never making it up. That dude is raking. I kind of wish he wouldn't do good so that I would be up there. Where Tamir Johnson is looking at you like, man, I could probably play for the Pirates right now.
Right.
So how do you mix those feelings when you're there in that moment with all these guys?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, everybody has the goal to make it to the big leagues. I would say for me, it's just I kind of have my mind wrapped up of like, yes, they're going to develop me at shortstop right now, but most likely I'm not going to play shortstop in the big leagues just because there's Lindor. But I never want him to ever do bad. I think that's somebody I kind of look up to, and especially in spring training, I picked his brain a lot, especially being at big league camp. And same thing for honestly all the guys ahead. I mean, I hope everybody does good. I hope we win it all. But for me, it's just going out there and trying to just develop, try new positions. I mean, I've played short, second, center, but at the end of the day, I mean, heck, I'll go play third, first, left, right, somewhere, as long as I'm on the field and trying to help the team win.
I love that. And I wouldn't expect that any other answer from you, knowing how upstanding you are and the background you came from. We're talking about the outfield. How are you liking the outfield? How's the transition? Center field, bro, you're the quarterback out there, big dog. So you're directing traffic, you're calling people off. We know you got the wheel. So what are your expectations and how do you feel out there?
I feel really comfortable. For me, I've always told it's easy, which they always look at me crazy. But I think just kind of going from shortstop and balls getting hit at you 110, like you have kind of no time to react. I think being at this almost shortstop, you're kind of the same thing, like the leader of the infield. You go into the outfield and still kind of you're pretty much in line almost at shortstop, but just more time to react. I've played center field kind of growing up and a little bit in high school, but I never really like played it enough, and I don't really I wouldn't say I practice it at all. I think I just kind of get thrown out there, and I think I usually just tell everybody like, hey, is it hard to go from short to center? It's just, I always tell them no, just honestly think about catching the ball, hit your cutoff, and just don't miss it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Hey, who were your favorite players growing up or even now that you like to watch?
I loved Dustin Pedroia growing up, and just because he was a smaller guy. I love Mookie Betts, Bregman, and Altuve just because they're also the smaller guys. Even though that Mookie's playing against our team right now. It's kind of hard not to root for him, but for this series, I'm not going to root for him. And but no, I think just kind of looking at those guys, and they're on the smaller side, and they're putting up amazing numbers each year, and just kind of the work that they put into it. And it was cool just getting to talk to Altuve and Bregman one day, and after I got drafted, and because my hitting coach is from Venezuela, and he's good friends with Altuve, so I got to talk to him a little bit. And then Bregman just DM'd me on Instagram after I got drafted and told me congratulations. And then I met him in spring training, so really nice guy, and just kind of seeing the way they work and the way they go about their business, I think it helps me just being able to stay focused and just like, hey, if they can do it, I can do it.
You diverted me off of my question. You said your hitting coach is from Venezuela?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're from Texas. Your hitting coach is from Venezuela. Tell me about this.
So he came over to the U.S. when he was, I want to say 16. He went to my high school, and then I think he said he was a sophomore, and something happened with his paperwork. He got sent back to Venezuela, and then after he went to Venezuela for 7 years, he couldn't get back in because he had to get his green card and everything. And he played with Elvis, Odor, Robinson Trinos, all those guys out there. Altuve came back, and then he's been my hitting coach since I was about 8 years old. And I think I grew up with him and stuff just in my corner. So I think he knows my swing like no other. But I got to work out with Trinos, Odor, Mazzara, pretty much every offseason since I was a freshman in high school until now. And then now Odor and Mazzara come up there every once in a while when I come back home. But yeah, it's been awesome working with those guys and picking their brain as well.
What's his name? Give the guy his flowers. What's your hitting coach's name?
Aldre Rincones.
Nice. All right. So the question I was going to ask you was talking about being a smaller guy. You know, you love Altuve, Pedroia, Marcus Stroman and Bregman.
Right.
All these smaller guys. They're always like, because Todd's not short. Todd's really tall. Todd Frazier, who's on the show here, he's really tall. And so he doesn't know what it's like to be short. But they always say, oh man, I've always been overlooked. Like Stroman always talks about being overlooked. Like he had a full scholarship to Duke. He went in the first round. How is that being overlooked? Like Bregman, I'm being overlooked. I'm a first rounder. I'm making $20 million a year. Do you feel like that's a mindset that you have to just continue to have because you're only 5 foot something? Or is that something that you want people to see you as like, dude, I got some tons of skills. Like, who cares how tall I am?
Right. I think a little bit of both. I think just kind of growing up with the showcase circuit and all this stuff, it's like I kind of got knocked on my height a little bit. Like everybody asked me like, oh, like what events did you go to? And like, how'd you get drafted in the first round? I was like, I went to one event, and that was Area Code. I went to Area Code for 3 years in a row, and that's kind of like the only event I got invited to. I played really well in those events, but I think just it was almost I had one scout tell me that if I was 6 foot, I would be a top 10 pick, whatever. I mean, not that it matters really, but it was just like, oh, like why couldn't I be that if I was right now? It's like, oh, I guess you're not as physical as a guy that would be 6'2" or whatnot. So you kind of always get those little comments in your head, and it's like, well, I mean, who cares how tall I am, and just who cares if they can hit the ball harder? Which just I think just kind of playing the game. I think that's always how I've played. Just a little bit of chip on my shoulder of just kind of going out there and showing people, hey, that doesn't really matter about your height, and kind of just going out there and play. Just at the end of the day, you have to have fun. But I think that for me, it's like I said, seeing those guys that are shorter, like they're playing, if not as good or better than some of the big guys. And I think just as long as you're playing the game that you should always play and just play hard, I think it'll just take care of itself.
I love that. You always have the iconic photo of, say, Altuve and Judge both standing around second base.
Yeah.
And you can just show that to a kid and be like, hey,
Right.
you could look like him or you could look like him, and you could be a superstar in the sport. So, all right, I'm going to take you to what's going on in the minor league system for the New York Mets in terms of tech. We were joking around about all the tech jobs and how much the game has changed. So I want to ask you if there's anything that you use, if you feel like the way that the game has provided so much more, not just information, but I think technology is a good word in terms of training, how that's helped you. And, what's the scene these days at the minor league level?
For me, I try not to for swing wise, I try not to look at really too much stuff on the analytics side or technology side. I think for me, it's just, I love seeing video of myself just because I think that I learned the best of just looking at video. And I think going from when I'm going really good and if I'm not going too good, just compare the videos side by side. Like, hey, let's see what's wrong with the swing, or maybe I'm doing something that I'm not supposed to be doing. I'd say I guess the one thing I do look at is just kind of, for me, it's how long I can be in the zone and on plane, and just how long my barrel can stay in the zone.
Let me ask you this. You're talking about barrel control. A lot of people, the new way of hitting and swinging now, it's like, all right, launch angle, all this different type. When you were taught growing up, was it the old school method of coming down through the ball to get that backspin, or were you being taught something different with your dad and whoever your hitting coach? Like, what is your guys' method of hitting?
I mean, he's definitely big on the launch angle, but I think kind of growing up, we talked about it of hey, everybody thinks launch angles lift and everything. It's for me, and I was telling him, it's more so of just kind of the way you catch it out front. I think as long as my barrel can stay in the zone as long as possible and as straight as possible, and then it's just you either catching it out front or just getting good backspin of the ball. I think that's kind of what at least I've noticed of people with launch angle. Of they kind of get it twisted of let's hit the ball in the air and let's just kind of throw the shoulders up and just let it rip. For me, it's just I almost think opposite of, let me see if I can come down on the ball, staying it long as possible in the zone. And then just kind of, for me, I think about top hand, kind of going above second base, or kind of the pitcher's shoulder of getting that palm up. And I think for me, that's kind of what the launch angle is. I try not to think of let me see if I can hit a pop fly. It's more of, like I said, kind of having that barrel control of staying in the zone and then just catching it out front and clipping in, just miss hitting your home runs.
There you go. Well spoken, man. You're really well spoken. It was awesome to have you on here for the rest of the world, besides Mets fans that are tracking it, see what you're all about. So thank you for joining us. We'll obviously get you on again at some point, but keep doing your thing in Arizona. I know it just started up, and we'll hopefully see you in spring training.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for having me.
Yeah, appreciate
Don't
you,
forget to
Jett.
make your bed.
Don't take
Hey,
it.
it's made a little bit.
Yeah.
Looks like there's a body in there, brother.
That's
What the
minor
heck's
league.
going
Yeah,
on?
look like somebody's taking a nap.
Those are my 2 coconut pillows.
There you go.
Yeah.
Coconut pillows. Is that a new thing, or is it just a type
The
of pillow?
lime in the coconut.
I've had those I had one since I was a sophomore in high school, and then I just got another one. I don't know. They smell good, and then they're really comfortable, and I don't know.
All right.
I think I've always just slept with it.
Don't be afraid to send us one. We'll try it out. Kratzy will give you a thumbs up or thumbs down.
I'll get us some cocoa pillows. I'll put it on
All
the
right.
list.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
I'll
give
try.
these guys something every week.
All
right, Jett.
Yep.
Awesome to have you, man. Appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you. Jett Williams, prospect in the Mets system. And we did some interviews yesterday on Hot Sheet. So multiple interviews, Trey Phelps, Georgia Bulldog, and we had Ethan Salas, San Diego Padres top catching prospect. So if you want to look up that YouTube channel, go for it. And we'll swing right back with Ken Rosenthal in the green room. Also, of course, FT fam, we got the Mets show. So if you want more on the Metropolitans, I'm sure they'll talk about Jett Williams in the offseason. They're a little busy right now talking about the playoffs, but the show's called Mets Up. We showed you the QR code there, and there's the guys. All right? They're having a great time right now. Yeah, they're pumped up about Game 3. All right, let's bring it back here just a quick minute, and then we'll bring on Ken Rosenthal. His colleague at The Athletic, Dave O'Brien, tweeted last night, we had a bunch of exciting games in the first 2 rounds of the postseason, but so far the LCS games have kind of sucked. I actually thought yesterday's game was a pretty good game.
It was. It just nobody.
I mean, it wasn't super close. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen at the end here?
They didn't. Guardians had really good chances.
Yeah,
and they didn't come through with one of them. That's why it's like tough to watch. Well, if you're a Guardians fan, of course, yeah.
Right. And I know some people are going to be like, "What are you talking about? Ugly base running?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's entertaining. Ugly base running,
Oh, yeah.
a freaking dropped pop up. How often do you see
You're on
that
the edge
stuff?
of your seat, like, oh, what it's going to happen?
If you're at the
next?
ballpark and
Yeah.
you're a Yanks fan last night and you see a dropped pop up like that, which almost never happens ever, you are freaking out. That place got so damn loud after that. That is like a Yankee troll fan's dream, right? And I'm not just saying for Yankee fans. Any fan that sees a drop pop up like that in a playoff game is going to lose their mind. And
he is just like us.
Yeah,
we are the
just
same.
like us.
Just like us. Just like us. He is Erik Kratz instead of Jason Bourne. That is Erik Kratz.
Kratz at second.
You Pennsylvania Dutchman. I love him, man. I can't get enough of that face. Look at him. We need to bring Ken on.
Nothing.
I feel bad for
Stone
Kratz.
Cold.
He gets happy when Ken's on. He's got good
All right,
questions.
well,
for
Kratz,
him.
you're going to bring in Ken and ask the first question. Okay? Yep. It's all you. Pressure's on. Tight 10 minutes with Ken, with Kenny Ballgame, and then he's on Fox later. Be right back.
Baseball's insider from The Athletic, Ken Rosenthal. Thanks for joining us, Ken, in your super, super busy schedule. AJ's not here, so there will be no, one extra questions today. It'll be all just super specific baseball questions.
Thank you, Erik.
Yeah,
He's
welcome.
ready. Go ahead.
So-
show him biz.
Straight to the point. Who are we more concerned about? Walker Buehler pitching in this game, or Doc Roberts, Dave Roberts, the manager for the Dodgers, knowing when to take him out?
I would think Buehler. He's the one performing. And I heard what Max Muncy said earlier, and actually I was kind of intrigued by it. The fact that he said he'd rather not have anybody on the mound but Walker Buehler. He's the guy that he would want. If you look at performance this year, you would not necessarily think that's the case. But Buehler is a big game guy. If you go back to 2020, he pitched Game 1 in the Wild Card round, the Division Series, and the LCS. Pitched really well in Game 3 of the World Series as well. So he is in a different spot now. He's coming off his second Tommy John. He had 2 months missed with the right hip injury. He hasn't been consistent, but as Max said, in Game 3 of the DS, he actually was pretty good. He had that crazy 6-run second inning where some bad things happened, some unlucky things happened to him, and then came back, pitched 3 scoreless, and that kind of set up the Dodgers well for the next day, which was the bullpen game and the great 9-0 win or 8-0 win over the Padres. So I'm confident, relatively confident in Buehler tonight. As for Dave Roberts, listen, he's always under scrutiny, as always every manager is in the postseason, because every move is under scrutiny, and the question always is, when do you take a guy out? Generally speaking, it's before the third time through the order, right? And I would expect that's what's going to be the case if Buehler pitches well tonight.
Yeah, and he's got the high leverage arms well rested for this one. I know they got to go 3 days in a row coming up here. So my follow-up for you about Buehler is, I'm sure you've heard this all the time from managers, guys who have gutsy performances and guys who are pitching without their best stuff but still put it all together. And that certainly can be the case. What I'm curious about is if the Dodgers have said anything on, Buehler not getting swing and miss, right? Like the fastball's not playing the same this year. So you can be gutsy as hell, but you still got to throw strikes. And if you're not getting whiffs, like these are playoff teams. The Mets are a playoff offense, one of the better offenses in baseball. Can he overcome the lack of stuff compared to the past to put together a gutsy performance like that? I'm curious, like what the thought process is.
Scott, that's a great observation. And actually, I asked the Dodgers pitching coach, Mark Pryor, about this yesterday. And I said, okay, what is he now? And what Pryor said is just what you just said, Scott. He doesn't have the swing and miss stuff that he did in the past. He doesn't have the elite command that he did in the past. The ability to change speeds is not the same. What Buehler needs to do now, at this stage of his career, is be more creative, more imaginative on the mound. And that is how he has to get through lineups. It's a different way of pitching. And Pryor said, listen, I don't rule out him becoming that pass guy again, but right now he's not that guy. And it took him a while to realize this, which is understandable, right? A guy comes back from a second Tommy John. He's hopeful of being what he was. Then when he finds out he's not what he was, it's an adjustment period getting to a point where he can be successful again. And that is what Buehler has experienced.
Do you have any injury updates? You're at the field every day, off day workouts from Freddie Freeman, but also people forget the fact that Francisco Lindor missed some super huge games down the stretch, and we really don't talk much about his back. Is there any new updates from the workout day, the off day yesterday?
Well, Lindor seems fine, first of all. He's playing really well, and I don't see any issue there. Gavin Lux expected to be back in the lineup tonight. He is a guy that had that hip flexor thing in Game 1, left the game, didn't play in Game 2, but while he is still dealing with this, he's expected to be in there. And the same goes for Freddie Freeman. Now, I'm interested to see how Freddie Freeman handles the cold and how he handles back-to-back-to-back games, if he is able to handle that. But what we've seen, guys, is a level of toughness from him that I don't know that we've seen in many players. And I want to ask you guys this as well, Todd and Erik. To me, it seems like the one stat we don't know is how many injections each team is giving out to its players each game. I would love to know that because you know what, guys? There are guys playing with some things now. And we don't talk about that, all the stats that we keep. No one knows who's going through what exactly. And really, it's so critical to what these guys are at this time of year. If you're not as healthy as you were, you can't be the same guy that you want to be.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say injection, but I feel like nobody's 100% right now at the end of the day. And for a guy like a Freddie Freeman with the ankle, guys that are going through stuff that we don't even know of, that might need, an extra boost, I guess you could say, but here and there. They're going to need it.
They're getting the boost. There's no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Erik.
I was just going to say, I saw an in-game injection to take care of something in the playoffs. I won't say what game it was, what series it was, because it would implicate the person. Everyone would know who it was, but it happens. It definitely happens.
Yeah.
It's not football. People aren't getting injections pregame, but I know the pills that you take in the playoffs are stronger than the ones that you can take during the regular season because it's a shorter amount of time that you put in your body through that.
Whatever happened to that spray they used to use? You remember you got hit by a pitch?
Cold spray?
That cold spray, man. That's what I would have loved to have.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about Aaron Judge a little bit. We know he hit the home run yesterday. Kind of got off the schneid there a little bit. Playoffs have been just a totally different story for him. He's had some good at-bats, but he's been missing some pitches as well, man. Do you see, him starting to step up here as we move forward? Because, they're walking Soto to get to him now, so it's kind of a different ball game for him.
I do see him performing better, and the reason for that, Todd, is he's just too good. And it's the same with Ohtani. I know Ohtani's 0 for 19 with men on base. or something with none on, and then 6 for 8 with men on. That's some kind of weird stat, right? But Ohtani's good. And the difference now, and you guys know this, the pitching is that much better. And they're that much locked in on guys like Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, and it becomes that much more difficult to hit. Now, you're going to see at times players struggle. You see that during the season, and it becomes magnified this time of year. Of course, that's when you want these superstars performing at their best. It just doesn't always happen that way. And I expect Judge to be fine the rest of the way, and I expect Ohtani to be the same. These guys, like I said, they're too good. They're not going to just simply disappear in the postseason. I don't see that happening.
Ken, you know what I was thinking about? Because obviously we're on all offseason with you, and we talk so much about signings and trades and payroll. And the one thing that really stood out with Cleveland is not just their identity compared to the other teams, but they spend significantly less than the other 3 teams that are in the Final Four here. How much do you see that playing out right now with their style of play, with their lack of a rotation, right? And you look at what the Yankees are bringing to the table. I mean, it truly looks to me like David versus Goliath in that series.
I agree, and it is playing out that way. It almost looks like they don't belong on the same field together, and that's not respectful enough of Cleveland. Of course, Cleveland has had a great year. Payroll is part of it, but look at the Dodgers. They've got one of the highest payrolls, and their pitchers are all hurt too. They're kind of in the same situation, honestly, that Cleveland is in with their rotation. The Yankees are in a good position with their rotation. Their starters are healthy, and I know if we get to a World Series where it's Yankees-Dodgers or Yankees-Mets, there's going to be a lot of screaming about payroll and about, you got to spend to win. It's the only way. I would suggest recent history doesn't always indicate that if you go back to last year, they weren't the highest payroll teams, and really for the last several years. So spending helps. It helps insulate teams from injury a little bit, but it doesn't completely do that. So in Cleveland's case, yes, they're compromised right now. They've been compromised all season with their rotation, all season long. It started with the Bieber injury, and it's really showing up now. They also have not played all that well in these 2 games, not the way they normally do. So I know payroll is the easy thing to look at, and certainly there is a disparity between them and the Yankees. No one would deny that. But I don't know that that's the whole story here. Certainly you've seen teams rise up with lower payrolls in the recent past and beaten teams like the Yankees even. So I don't know that I put that much into it, but certainly you cannot dismiss it as a factor. It's there. And yes, the Yankees have a huge advantage because they are able to spend more on players.
Last one here for me. This is a Ken question, not necessarily a baseball question. Do you, now that you guys are in New York and it's going to be 50 degrees tonight, do you want to be at World Series and playoff games when it's cold, or would you rather have 72 and sunny?
All right, I'll be honest here, Erik. 72 and sunny.
Oh,
And I will be honest in this regard too. When it comes to the cold, I am not the toughest guy in the world. In fact, I would go the other end. I would say I'm one of the wimpier guys in the world. And people ask all the time, well, who do you root for? And what do you root for? I kind of root for warm weather a lot of times. And the reason is I'll be out there tonight, and it's going to be cold. There's no question about it. I'm layered up, and it's a different kind of experience. That said, I wouldn't trade it for anything. But, yeah, I'm not the toughest guy when it comes to the cold. There's no denying that.
Listen, I'm going to bring you some long johns because I'm going to the game. I'll be above the dugout, the Mets dugout. So if something gets hit in your face, just know it's long leggings and long sleeves, all right? You'll see me with a big bubble jacket on, all right?
All right. Thank you, Todd. Appreciate it, man.
You got it.
And thank you, Ken. Yeah, stay warm. I'm with you, too. I'm totally soft on weather. These guys know. I will immediately escape to Florida at the first chance I get when I start to feel a little chilly. So sorry about it, but
there's something
enjoy
about
it.
cold.
What?
There's something about cold and seeing your breath the morning of a game, not during the game, but like just watching it and everybody's.
Here's the difference. I'm not moving around and playing. I'm standing there. And it's just not the same kind of thing.
Do some jumping jacks.
Yeah, right. If I was playing, different story maybe. Could stay warm and do some things. But yeah, jumping jacks ain't.
Just go down in the tunnel and use the bathroom like every 20 seconds. So you
But
can
then
get
you're
warm.
missing stuff. So Ken's looking out. I get it. my old job, when I would be at the park at the morning, do every freaking show, and you're outside and it's 20 degrees all day, like, yeah, I'm not running around. So it's just not the same. So anyway, yeah, everyone's going to feel really bad for us, but Ken's got the best seat in the house. So enjoy it, Ken.
No one should feel bad for me. No,
exactly.
No one should ever feel bad for me. I've got a great job, the best job. It's just that I'm a wimp. It's simple.
Yeah, I'm with you. I admit it, right? I admit it on that one. So, yeah, sarcasm. You're going to enjoy it. Ken, thank you very much. We'll see you on Fair Territory.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you. Ken Rosenthal on Fox, of course, tonight for Game 3. It's the Mets and the Dodgers all to themselves. And then you'll hear Ken on Fair Territory with Alana Rizzo. It's every Thursday, 12:30 Eastern Time. Be right back on FT. We got some good fan questions today, so I'll bring some up from the YouTube chat. Let's go with one of our favorites. We met her in person at the All-Star Week. KT, are we okay with Shohei's approach with no runners on, but big boppers behind him, not to mention he steals bases?
I would
Doc was asked about if he should move him down because he's just not doing anything when no one's on. And then when anyone's on, he's like, okay, boop, auto.
Yeah, no, I would take the 6 or 8 with runners on over an 0 for 19. Even though it's not ideal in the playoffs, you're producing RBIs. I think I would take that 100%, especially knowing, all right, what's that? 3 for 4, 75% going to get guys in. I would take that.
So you're not going to move him down because you lead off. You're never going to have anyone on base when you're starting the game.
Well, Mookie's not doing the best either. So, I mean, who are you going to have lead off?
Mookie.
Because
he takes walks.
Max.
He's a couple homers.
Max.
Muncy? Okay.
No, you don't move him down. You don't move him down unless there's a complete power outage. He's the best player in the game right now. Just leave it where it's at. You have 2 guys behind him. Maybe that's why he's getting the hits too, because there's guys on base and they're like, crap, we can't put him on to get to Mookie. Oh crap, we can't put Mookie on to get to Freddie. And you don't want Shohei hitting behind a slower Max or a hobbled Freddie.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, one more quickie here. Malaza, anyone asking why Lindor wasn't nominated for Gold Glove? Lindor, by the way, also hasn't made an all-star team in years, so don't get me started. I don't think they're putting together the best formula.
Don't get me started on the Gold Glove stuff.
Yeah, we don't cover it a ton because I feel like it's pretty off.
Juan Soto got nominated. He's top 3 for the Gold Glove right now.
Do they a bet on there for who wins Gold Gloves or no?
I'm not sure. I got to look. I don't think so. I think it's too messy to even worry about. So I know we talk about it and say it, like it's a huge honor. I'm not discounting the honor. I just think the process right now is kind of a mess. So we don't cover it a ton here, especially not right now when they announce it. Like I also think they should just save that crap for the off season. Like,
yeah,
we got
why are
Why
they
are
doing
you dropping
now?
that right now?
Yeah,
It's stupid.
I don't get it either.
Yeah, we're busy with the playoffs. Let's do this. BetMGM locks. We got one game to choose from. Yesterday was quite successful for the OG crew. Kratz got his over for Jose Ramirez with the homer. Obviously, that took care of business easy for you. Jose Ramirez
last at bat.
Yeah, so what? It was sweaty, but it happened.
That was great.
J-Ram walked for AJ, and yes, it's got to be an unintentional walk, and it was for him to hit that +2 hundo. And yeah, I took that. AJ's looking at me like under 11.5. Yeah, because I was worried. I didn't know how to play the over under there. So I paired it with Cole getting over 1.5 runs, hit
Very
that.
nice.
So it was a nice day for the boys, besides Papnosticator, who's having a little playoff struggle right now. Just not able to close games in the ninth in the playoffs. You know the deal with Pap. I'm kidding, obviously. He's a freaking Boston legend. But all right, Pap. I hear Pap's got a new approach for us today. So let's see what he's bringing to the table.
Whew, FT people, yeah, man. Hey, we gotta ride it. We gotta ride the wave. You know, sometimes you get punched in the face, and sometimes you punch him in the face. You're getting punched in the face right now if you bet with me, but I think we're going to turn around because I'm going to pull something out today that, you know what? Guess what? I like the under in the Dodgers, so I'm not going to take them. I'm going over in the Mets. It's that simple. I'm not even going to question anything. I'm going the exact opposite of what I think is going to happen. Period. There's no more looking into it. Done. I think it's plus 220. It's plus, put 200, and it's plus 200. Just opposite of what I just said.
Plus 250. We got you, Pap. It's not a bad approach. Here's where he went wrong, okay? When you're trying to do the opposite game because you're so cold and you're like, I just keep picking losers. I don't like going parlay. I like just one, right?
Yep.
Like just your over under. You thought it's under, go the over. The pairing both, it just puts you in a tough spot. So he's not just going against the grain. He's going against the grain with a little plus 250 piece. So good luck, Pat. We're rooting for you to come back. All right. And I'll follow because I'm just taking half of that. Minus 110. I'll go the over. I got the Mets and Dodgers going over 7.5 runs. For me, these are two dynamic offenses. I just think most games you're going to see at least one of them blow up, if not both. The Mets bullpen's okay. Severino actually has struggled against lefties this year. I think he could have a great game, or the Dodgers lefties could get to him, right? And same case, of course, with Buehler, total wild card. So for me, I felt most comfortable just taking the over in this one. I just think this is going to continue to be a wild back and forth series with plenty of offense. There'll be one game where it's low scoring. It could be today, but that's me. 110 to win a hundo.
He thinks the Mets are going to score over 7.5.
No. That's total game. He's pairing total game runs, which is what I just did.
Oh, and money line.
Plus the money line to get to plus 250.
My fault.
Yeah.
I'm going simple. Mets money line. I think they're going to win this first one at home. I was debating on going 1.5, 2 as well, but I'm not going to get greedy. Mets minus 105. I'm going big here. I'm going 630 to win 600. I'm giving this a 4-star pick today. Not 5. I'm giving it 4.
Todd's going to be there too. Listen, if you want to tail a pick, tail Todd's pick. But man, you got a triple tail a pick if Todd's going to the game. I am going the over in the game, 7.5, parlayed with, and the over I'm thinking because it's the first game of 3. They're not going to go quite so early into the pens. So these starters will get out there, give a few runs here and there. And I'm going under on Buehler's strikeouts. Parlaying that together, we got plus money because that's what I like.
Yep, plus 160. Well, now I'm thinking, everyone's on this, so should I up my
Up it up.
220?
Are you going to the game tonight, Scott? It doesn't have the same mojo. It doesn't have the same mojo when Todd's going.
Aren't we doing a post-game?
Post-game.
I should have said that earlier.
But I was going again.
Oh, that's understandable.
My biscuit.
Reporting live.
You can get me on the ride home.
We'll get you on one. We'll get Todd.
Hey man, I'm trying to bust through traffic here. This guy just threw a punch. The Mets won again.
That would be actually epic if we get the traffic report from you, because there were a ton of people watching Dodgers territory on YouTube because they were stuck in traffic at Dodger Stadium. You know how it is there for hours. So they're just like, can this show go longer?
Yeah, my son likes to stay the whole game too. Mm-hmm. I'm in trouble.
You better. Yeah. Hey, it's playoffs. If it's a close game, you can't leave.
It might be one of those where the game's over. We just hang out for another 30 minutes, just picking up Raptors and throwing them out.
You've already told 60,000 people plus all our Bally's listeners, our Bally's watchers, that where you're going to sit in the stadium, dude. You're running for mayor. It's election season. Todd's going to be down there. Oh, guys. How did you even know? I got a bubble jacket on.
I'll be in the suite early. I'll be in the suite.
He's going to run.
Oh, now we know his second location, so we'll wait out there and it'll be like, Todd, can you sign sweet spot, please? Just you.
Sweetie.
Just you.
Why does that ball look like a little piece of food? Why is your hand so big? You're such a gargantuan. You got fat and big fingers. It's disgusting.
I'm going to give a tip, okay? As famous as Todd Father is, and I know you probably want to try and get an autograph or something, and he's Mr. Jersey and a lot of Jersey people at the games. You paid a lot of money probably for that game. Enjoy the game.
I paid a lot.
Give Todd a high five, all that. But if you're going to the game to line up for autos with Todd Father, I don't know. You got to pick another time.
Buy me a root beer and we'll be all good.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, no high five. I ain't trying to. I ain't trying to give
beers, and then we'll bring them on the post game show from. No,
no, I'll tell you what, man. This guy was crazy.
Then Todd will be sleeping at the ballpark.
Let me just show you. This guy's got his shirt off, man.
Todd, I already won $150,000. Who's going to win the next $50,000 bonus bets?
After I say this, tell me who's going to hit a homer. So if you are betting in the BetMGM Sportsbook app or online and you place a home run prop pick for at least $10, you can win a share of a daily $50,000 BetMGM bullpen jackpot if that player that you pick hits a home run that lands in an MLB team bullpen. It's not complicated, okay?
Listen.
Pick a home run player, and then if that home run goes into an MLB bullpen, you will get a share of the $50,000 daily prize paid in bonus bets that expire in 7 days. It's an awesome promo, and there have been some big boy winners.
Hey, in the Mets Stadium, that's a monster bullpen over there. They have both the visiting and home. Pete Alonso's got 4 biscuits off Walker Buehler. Peter Piper picked a pail of pickled peppers.
Picked a
bunch of bonus bets. Hey, I'm winning my second. This is going to be my second group of bonus bets, Todd. I'm locking in Pete Alonso. I already won the Juan Soto one. They just haven't given it to me.
Show me the money. Where's the Koch?
Well, we got a receipt. I posted the receipt on.
He did. He posted
Twitter.
it. It's real.
Well,
it's real.
I want to see the Koch.
All right. He'll bring his briefcase over next time we have Frazier Friday. All right, we'll be right back, FP fam. Nick Castellanos left Scott Boras, and we have more job openings for the Cardinals, and it's tied into their long-term strategy.
But is this just Cleveland? Like when Cleveland was playing the Cubs in the World Series, I know there's injuries. Trevor Bauer cut his finger. You know, they had Andrew Miller, who was a starter in the pen, throwing 100 innings down there. But is this just the Guardians like, oh, well, we can't pay for starting pitching ever. And once Tristan McKenzie gets hurt, once Shane Bieber gets hurt, all these guys get hurt, we don't have enough to come back? Or is it more of like, okay, their formula says these bullpen guys are our best shot. Let's go with that.
Well, they did not they would tell you, honestly, they did not intend for it to look like this. They certainly hoped to develop a great bullpen, no doubt, but they hoped for more from their starting rotation this year. And Shane Bieber looked great in spring training, and then he pulls up lame, 2 starts into the season, or 1 start in the season, excuse me. Tristan McKenzie, they had hope for a rebound, bounce back season from him, but he was pitching with a compromised elbow and did not have the year he hoped to have. They've tried other arms in rotation that, think about Ben Lively and what he meant to their rotation this year unexpectedly. He gave them a boost, but they're really piecing it together, as evidenced by the fact that Matthew Boyd and Alex Cobb are 2 of their top 3 starters in the postseason roster, and they weren't even here a few months ago. Matthew Boyd, a mid-season free agent signee coming off of Tommy John. Alex Cobb, he'll make his 5th start of the season tonight because of he's rehabbing from injuries with the Giants, and then he's had more issues, blister and fingernail since he's come over to Cleveland. So it's a real scramble for innings, which we're not accustomed to seeing from this organization. That's their bread and butter, is developing starting pitching. Now you might say maybe their bread and butter is shifting to developing bullpen arms, given what we've seen this year. But to get to your original point, this is the way it has to be done in a smaller market. Is you do have to zig where others zag and that sort of thing. You have to find a different way to win, and they've done that in multiple ways. Where this is a very defense-oriented club. This is not a power-laden club, although it does have more power than the team that took the Yankees to the brink in the ALDS 2 years ago. It's still not the 27 Yankees. It's not the 2024 Yankees, for that matter. So they rely on contact and speed, aggression on the base paths, defense, and, of course, the great bullpen. And that's just the way it's always going to be for a small market team to make it this far. You're going to have some pleasant surprises, and you're going to have to in all likelihood, construct your club a different way.
That's what she posted.
That's what she posted.
That's what she posted.
That's what she posted. Come on, that's good.
I've never seen that. Is that the first time?
Of course, that was custom made just for today.
God. With the Phillies outfit on, that's great.
That's so good.
She's getting some love.
If you're listening on the pod, you should definitely tune in to the episode today in the Bally Sports app or on YouTube. Instead of that's what he said, that's what she posted, because Nick Castellanos, recent guest on FT, made a little agency change, but we didn't know about it until there was a post about Boris clients, and she was like, nah, not Nick. So that's how you learn the news.
I love
she
that.
broke it, according to Nick's wife, Jess.
Jersey girl, man. They're not afraid. She got after it.
Do you know who's repping him now?
Jess.
Basically, yeah.
No.
Jess and Nick are representing the fam.
Oh, that's great.
That is true. I mean, he's in a deal. He's still got years left, but he's representing
little
himself
David
right
Robertson action going on.
Exactly.
Listen, if there's a guy in Major League Baseball that can do it, he can definitely do it. He's smart. He doesn't take any crap. He knows his stuff, and he's not only a good baseball player, he's a good talker. He's probably a good businessman too. So, yeah, I think it's the right decision. You've seen what Boris has done. Just as close or as recent as this offseason, and left a lot of guys on the table, man, and it was a shame. So a lot of money to be made, and some guys lost a lot of money. So good for him. I think he could do it easily.
Agreed. I mean, I think he can do it. I would never do it. I definitely would have gotten taken advantage of. There's no way. I mean, he's looking at probably, a 2-year deal after this, depending on how his last year of the deal goes. But you sit there and you go, okay, when this deal's up, he's got one more contract, maybe. Good for him. I think it seems like when we talk to him, it seemed like it'd be kind of like a challenge too. So I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that the wifey broke the news too.
I would love to hear him on negotiations with teams, because he would just cut out all the BS. There's so much BS on negotiations.
Give me your top dollar now.
This is what I want, and let's do it today, or I'm calling a different team. And that's it. I don't have time.
Yeah.
I got to work out. I'm going to hang with the fam. There's so much posturing and BS. And I will say, I mean, just the recent example, and it's not as much a knock on him as the game that is played these days. People complain, why does it take so long for so-and-so to sign, right? Look at the Matt Chapman extension, which actually worked out really well for him as a Boris client, I will say, right? Because he took the 1 year, and then now he's got a long-term deal with the Giants. There was a bunch of footsie being played with him and the Giants, and then Buster Posey's like, "We're doing this tonight. Let's get this done. Let's talk. Well, we want a little, what was it, no trade or something like that? Okay, let's add it in. Not gonna friggin' kill us. Hopefully, this doesn't even matter. We want you on the team for the next 6 years, and we're done. So less BS, more
writing.
Right, writing checks and signing contracts. But I mean, Kratz, that would get millions of views if we had a video on Nick Castellanos negotiating his next deal.
Of course, that would be awesome, because then it would give an insight to, well, what teams are calling, what teams are not calling, like who is for real pursuing whatever type of player he is when he becomes a free agent, who is actually pursuing him. Because we hear a lot of conjecture. We hear a lot of, well, I didn't get any calls before this. Nick, as open and honest as he is, he'll be like, dude, it's January 3rd, and I haven't gotten one phone call, and I had a 800 OPS last year. Like, that's real, because he has no other players to negotiate for. Boris has other players to negotiate for, so has to, play by a code for future contracts. Nick will just be like, hey, wifey, tweet this out. Nobody's called. Merry Christmas. that kind of thing.
You're right. It can be I don't want to say humbling. It can be just like a crappy game, the back and forth that goes down.
Yeah.
It's not always like you're feeling all warm and fuzzy with the ball clubs, but it gets done. So anyway, let's move to the St. Louis Cardinals hiring for a number of positions. Just today, first time ever, just throwing a few positions out there for anyone trying to work in baseball. But also, this has to do with the Cardinals trying to beef up their development team again, because it was just incredibly orchestrated, I think, in an article from Katie Wu about what's going on. Why are you putting your thumbs down?
Their development team was
Yeah, I mean,
before.
dude, look at Katie Wu's The Athletic article. They had a shell of what, say, the Brewers had behind the scenes, okay? And the Cardinals should not be kicked around behind the scenes by the Brewers in terms of how they're spending. But according to the article, the owner was like, all right, here's your piggy bank. You spend it how you want. You can only have this much on players, on development coaches, other jobs behind the scenes. So now they're kind of reshuffling the decks a little bit here. And Chaim Bloom's going to take more of an impact now, as he's going to take over full-time next year. But right now he'll work with John Mozeliak this year during the transition period. So they're hiring for the following positions. All positions on Todd Father's past resume. Application developer, baseball development fellow, data engineer, data scientist, which Todd Father's got 3 data scientist jobs. Back in high school, he was doing that. Machine learning engineer, MLB analyst.
That's the formula for winning right there. To have a machine learning engineer. Tell you what, that's pretty cool.
Todd, you are the player development fellow, baseball development fellow. That has got you written all over it. And I said this honestly. I said this probably one of our first months that we had a show, when the season started in April last year, and everybody was giving Wilson Contreras so much crap. All that was happening throughout there, and to me, I said on this show, I said, there's people that need to check themselves right now. If they think this is Wilson Contreras' fault, no, because there's a lot of people in the organization that were skating by because Yadier Molina would take care of a lot of things. And people would be like, well, Yadi's not that great at all this stuff. He did a lot. When half of your development is pitching, and your pitching that you're developing is coming up to the big leagues and can follow what Yadier Molina does, there's guys that don't have to baseball player fellowship, whatever the name of it is. There's people that don't have to analyze data for the MLB side of it. I think there was just a gap in success because they had success for so long, and Yadi leaves, and what he did for that organization was now all of a sudden swiped out from underneath them, and there were some leaks. There were some leaks in the ship.
Yeah, now they're going to patch him up, all with jobs that Todd Father knows all about. So good luck.
Machine learning analyst. That's Todd.
Yeah. Hey, it's cool. Hey, job market. We love the job market getting a boost, though.
No
I
doubt.
want more people getting jobs. I can't tell you how many people reach out that I try to help that are looking for gigs where they're like, yo, this job market's a scam. I'm trying to get jobs here, and I just can't find something in baseball.
You get the emails a lot, too, for sure. I've seen them.
All the time.
Guys that used to play. It's nice.
One more thing, and then we'll do Kratz hats because Kratz is going to bounce, and then Todd Father's taking over for 15 minutes with me. Boom, he's kicking him out. Nestor Cortez, this according to Brian Hoke, is about to throw to hitters at Yankee Stadium. If all goes well, he'll do so again this weekend. Manager Aaron Boone said he considers Cortez very much in play for a potential World Series roster.
That would be phenomenal for the Yankees.
Yeah.
You can use him in the bullpen. You can use – because now he's had this time off, so he's not used to throwing – from first inning. He's not used to throwing in the 5th inning. You can use him in different portions of the game. Say, which I don't think this will happen again, but say Garrett Cole struggles in the 4th, bring Cortez in for 5 innings, and you can just blow him out if you really wanted to, in a good way. You hear, oh, you're going to blow his arm out. No. But this could be a monster, another monster pitcher, and it would help the bullpen too. It would be incredible.
He had that lights out appearance out of the bullpen.
He did.
So maybe he's another weapon for the Yanks.
Yeah.
Easy 3 innings. They'll know. They know if he's back or not. You always need more length and more quality length.
You can always use it. You'll see. That would be a monster pickup for them.
All right. So lastly with Kratz, and then we'll keep going. Don't worry. KT in the chat. I can't wait to see this great Kratz hat. Is it Oakland? Is it St. Patty's Day? An obscure minor league
I think
alternate?
I'm going to go like a Latin team or something.
A Latin team? Scott, what's your guess?
A minor league alternate.
I mean, I'm just going with where the Rays are going to be playing their games this year.
Oh my God!
Dunedin.
Him and his Blue Jays.
Dunedin Blue Jays. St. Patty's Day hat. I love the green. I don't know if it's because I got really nice green eyes.
Oh, that's one of the scariest things I've seen in a long time.
He definitely is out in town. And
Halloween
is
coming.
Like my hat. My hat matches my eyes.
Oh my God!
I'll show you scary, Todd. I'm like Willie Adamas. Meet me in the parking lot.
Oh damn!
Well, unfortunately,
meet me halfway.
We get real-time ratings, and they're dropping significantly right now. So you can kick your friend out.
Hey, Kratzy, have a good day, brother.
I enjoy the game. Celebrity status.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
I'll be watching. I'm watching.
We're not going anywhere, FT fam. I mean, we are for the TV watchers. You get a little quickie commercial, but we're going to answer fan questions the last 10 minutes about the playoffs. Todd Father on the hot seat.
How much did it hurt to watch that? I mean, it was such a great run. And you think you're going into Game 5, you have Skubal going, and you're thinking like, oh, man, we got this. We're going to the LCS to play the Yankees, and then Lane Thomas is one swing. Like, describe the emotions as a fan like you guys are. I know, Cody, you work, so you're not supposed to be a fan. But, like, describe the emotions when that swing happened, and you just knew, like, you looked at Skubal. I felt so bad for Skubal because he had carried them to this point. And in one swing, it was almost like the emotions hit him. Like they showed him on the bench, and he was like, "Oh," like he just knew, right?
Yeah, it was like, you mentioned the Lions. It kind of felt similar to the NFC Championship game that you alluded to a little bit. It was this whole time we were worried, I would say, about like when will the clock strike midnight, and I'll even throw in Game 4, Bo Brisky. It just kind of felt like was there regression to the mean with the way that the Tigers were pitching, and you were hoping that it would, get by for 7 more outs in Game 4 or, throughout Game 5, but you couldn't necessarily have been surprised when Brisky as lights out as he had been, just left with fastball a little bit too middle. And then Skubal, like, was he going to go the entire postseason without giving up a run? Those are unrealistic expectations. So it's kind of like a numbing feeling from a fan's perspective because you're so excited. You're trying to keep the right perspective about how amazing this run was, but it still was very abrupt. And then you kind of have to grapple with, is this kind of dream over? And, and like I said, you keep the perspective of how you got here, but then you get into the moment and all you want is more and more and more. I just think they kind of ran out of gas a little bit. And like I said, it was still within the expected outcomes, but just, you mentioned like home runs. I mean, I got David Ortiz flashbacks to 2013 too. So I come on foul territory, and all we do is bring up bad memories in my sports life. So, it's a good start for me, I guess.
Another reminder, FT fam, we have a post-game show tonight after the Mets and Dodgers clash for Game 3. So check us out. You can see us on the YouTube channel. When you type in Foul Territory on YouTube, we'll be there. We've got a lot of post-game shows. Basically, after every game, there is an FT Network post-game show. The Dodgers have been running a ton. Obviously, Derek runs post-game shows with Pinstripe after every Yankee game all year long. Mets Up has been doing a bunch of shows right after and then releasing those. So check all of that out. And then for the last 7-8 minutes, let's go over some questions that you have for Todd Father. I can chime in a little bit here and there. And I know some of the OG FT fam is in the YouTube chat right now, so we'll answer them. Scott P is pushing. Can we ask Todd Father if he thinks Mets Yanks is going to happen in the Subway Series and what that would do and mean for this area?
I'm hoping for it. I really want to see it. I think the Mets match up real well with the Dodgers. We all know the Yankees on the other side. They won 2 games. They're looking pretty good, but things can change just like that. The postseason is incredible to watch. If you're a baseball fan, you're loving every second of it. We're getting a taste of what we might see, especially in the Northeast area, in the tri-state area, all over. And I know people are like, this would be a boring matchup. This would be absolutely incredible every 25, 30 years for it to come out. I'm telling you, this would be dynamite. And the best problem of this whole thing is whoever wins would have bragging rights until the next time they play, no matter if they beat them, every single game in the regular season. Hey, we got the ring. Just remember, we got the ring. And I think growing up in this area, there's nothing better than being the top dog in bragging rights for sure.
And, it'd be funny because the trash talk is just off the hook up here with Yanks and Mets fans. Obviously, Yanks fans, have a few more rings, a few dozen more rings to have fun with. But the Met fan response would be like, I don't know. I don't remember that. I don't even remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. Yeah. All I know is we got the ring this time around. So there would be a lot of heat to it.
Until they play in the World Series again, they will have the upper hand.
You're right.
This would be devastating for Yankee fans if they go to the World Series and don't win.
I can already tell you, tickets to the Mets game tonight alone are pretty penny. People are all kinds of fired up. And if you get Mets Yanks, if you get Yanks Dodgers too, Dodger fans travel really well. Yanks fans are everywhere too. So
we need
these are big fan bases.
Get one of them in there at least, but 2, oh God.
Yeah. NLCS Game 1 averaged 8.264 million viewers.
Wow.
Most watched LCS Game 1 in over a decade. 2009
incredible.
Angels Yankees was the last one to top that number.
Yeah. Just incredible.
Okay. Next up, let's go to comic things. Question: Doc or Boone, whose seat is hotter to win the World Series? Great question.
This is a really, really good question. I think Boone was on the hot seat if he didn't beat the Royals. I think that would have definitely put him on there. I think Doc's been there a little longer with the Dodgers. No, am I not mistaken?
Yeah.
I think he would be on the hot seat if he didn't make the World Series. There's always been talks about him. I think I would have to say Doc, just in my opinion, because he's been there a lot longer and he understands the team and they feel like they should win a World Series with who they got. I know they have the injuries and everything else, but that's no excuse to a businessman. So I think Doc would be on the hot seat here. If they did go to the World Series and didn't win it and something like crazy happened or whatever, it would be very disappointing for either side. But
I'm going to go against Doc. You.
Really?
I'll tell you why. I think the Yankees roster is pretty healthy and pretty stacked up this year where you've at least got the excuse. Hey, we've got 10-ish starters on the IL. The Yankees don't have that. Mm-hmm. This is their roster. Every team goes through some injuries here and there, but the Dodgers pitching injuries are insane. Now, I'm not saying they don't need to do a organization check because Andrew Friedman said it himself. Yeah. He said, hey, we got to look at things in the offseason and be like, why are so many of our pitchers going down? Other teams have this problem, but the Dodgers are missing so many pitchers that I feel like there's at least the built-in excuse that let's just use this series for the example. Let's say Buehler doesn't pitch well and they have to go to the bullpen really early. Then it's taxed for the next game and they just, end up losing this series. You're going to be like, well, How would this series have looked if Glasnow was pitching? And go down the line of how many guys they're missing right now. Even Kershaw at one point when we were talking about him, we're like, oh, he's not going to start a playoff game for them. They would love to have Clayton Kershaw starting a playoff game for them right now.
Oh, 100%.
That was back when they had, all the depth going on. Now they don't. So they're just missing so much starting pitching talent.
Yes, they are.
Right now. Want to do one more?
Let's do it.
Scott P. coming back again. Anyone with thoughts on the Jazz Chisholm trade for the Yanks? Good, great, bad?
Great.
I mean, you can't call it bad.
I thought it was great. I thought he brought a little spunk to the team when they needed it. Another really good infielder. He can actually play the outfield, as we know. But another guy, I think he solidified that third base spot over there. He's loose. He's got great hands. He's come up with some big hits, some big home runs. I remember the couple I was thinking about in Philadelphia during the regular season. But he's brought some spunk, some attitude. He's not afraid to say what he wants in New York. And once you come to this Yankee team, I'm telling you, these guys never want to leave. And coming from a guy that's played there, you don't want to leave this place. And I know you got guys like Soto and Cole, who I think they'll pick up, which in my opinion. But, I think it's been a great pickup for them and what they've needed.
Also, I don't know what the deal is, but I'm not sure if DJ LeMahieu is going to be a starting caliber player. I know he's been going through it, body-wise too. Father time starts to catch up with you a little bit with the body, but Jazz Chisholm's an upgrade. I mean, there's no debate on that one this year. So
for sure.
He's not hitting $1 million in the playoffs right now, but he's energy and he can pop a homer for you at any moment.
Sure can. Good call.
Let's finish with this, FT fam. I'll give you a little guest announcement for Friday because he's been one of the most requested players recently. He's been on the show a bunch of times, but we haven't had him on since the end of his Pirates tenure. Big boy Ratty Telez joining us on Friday.
Oh, this will be a good one.
And that's
I'm there Friday too.
That's a Frazier Friday.
I got a couple questions for him.
The former Pirate. He's right here. It's not me.
Yep. We'll probably be on the same page on every single question too about that squad. It's incredible.
Trevor May is back tomorrow from paternity leave.
Nice.
He's been watching games with the little dude.
And
then we've got Todd Father Friday with Kratz both days, whether you love him or you like him. See everybody on the post-game show after Mets Dodgers. Have fun.